MSI WS66 Mobile Workstation Review. While MSI's goal is commendable, the reality of this laptop design is less than optimal. A desktop workstation would prove to be a better choice due to its higher performance and quieter fans, as well as a lighter chassis and faster SSD. The WS66 does not appear to be much different from the 10th gen platform version of this laptop on the outside. This laptop has metal on the top cover and plastic elsewhere. It stands out with its large air vents at the sides and back of the hinge, and along most of the underside at the rear. Uncovering why it requires so much ventilation will be revealed later in the inspection. Nevertheless, keeping the temperature within this case must have demanded an abundance of effort from its designers. Typically, we'd discuss the internal layout, but MSI covered one of the screws on the bottom with a factory seal label, suggesting that they don't want anyone tampering with it for any reason. This is an excellently crafted system with mainly internal updates on the previous model. The two most notable features of the new WS66 are the 11th gen CPU and the RTX A5000 GPU, although there are more aspects to discuss. The test device had an Intel Tiger Lake chipset with an 8-core, 16-thread Core i9-11900H processor. Intel's 11th gen CPUs initially fell short due to their quad-core design. However, later generations such as the Core i9 have seen dramatic improvements in single-threaded performance and energy efficiency. This chip has a configurable 45 watts TDP and a turbo mode that takes it from the standard 2.5 GHz to 4.9 GHz, making it an ideal choice when power consumption is important in a mobile system and you need some extra computational capacity. Surprisingly, the integrated GPU has been greatly improved. However, this system usually stays inactive because of the NVIDIA A5000 independent graphics. The A5000 GPU is identical to the highly acclaimed Ampere-based GTX 3080 from a technical perspective, though the latter has been largely unobtainable due to high demand from crypto miners. The only downfall is that the video card in this laptop is the mobile A5000 instead of the desktop A5000, a deceptive marketing tactic by NVIDIA to trick customers into buying something they don't actually have. The desktop A5000 uses the GA102 chip code, while the mobile A5000 has a GA104 code, offering 6144 unified shaders and a 256 bits wide memory bus with 384 GB per second of bandwidth. Its desktop relative is endowed with 8192 shaders and a wider 384-bit bus achieving 768 GB per second of bandwidth. The Boston Workstation configuration with the desktop A5000 achieved 9665 in the 3D Port Royal Ray Tracing test compared to this laptop's 5889, and this large delta demonstrates just how substantial the performance gap is. Though we didn't include the various CPUs in the tests, we strongly believe that the mobile A5000 is roughly half of what the desktop GPU can do. And it's displayed in terms of power consumption, with the WS66 being a much smaller number compared to 230 watts that the desktop GPU can utilize. For those who prioritize GPU performance, the desktop GPU's RTX 3060 and RTX 2070 are much better options than the mobile A5000. Although the performance of the WS66 for a laptop is satisfactory, it cannot be used as an equivalent for a comprehensive desktop workstation platform in reality. The user experience is marred by one significant and impossible to ignore factor: the sound of cooling. We've covered high-performance laptops before that get noisy once they're under duress, but the WS66 has loud fan noise from the moment you turn it on until you turn it off. Despite this one defining aspect, using the WS66 would mostly be a pleasure. This device features a bright, touch-sensitive screen with excellent contrast, a backlit keyboard for comfortable typing, an intuitive trackpad design, and multiple ports for convenience. The WS66's performance is far from ordinary, particularly when compared to an Ultrabook design. However, most computers would still be able to perform significantly better than this design when given the power budget it consumes. It excels in any task that requires powerful graphics or intensive computing capabilities, such as 3D and Cinebench. Although these numbers are satisfactory by mobile standards, they are not that impressive compared to their desktop equivalents. Were it not for the outrageous prices of GPUs nowadays, it would be feasible to build a desktop machine that could outperform this system with less than $1,000. We were amazed at the longevity of its battery, up to 4 hours and 20 minutes. This length of usage could potentially make this device practical for people who only have time for one charge in the middle of their day. Though these peak Mark 10 battery tests do not use the GPU as much as an average user, it is still worth considering with the WS66's 99 Wh of battery. The FSNVM in the MSI tests was very disappointing, as its performance was considerably worse than that of the rest of the system.